Hey everyone, today I want to talk about Model Context Protocol. I want to talk about what it is, and I also want to talk about why that matters for products and product managers. There is a lot of good content for Model Context Protocol in the market, but most of that content explains it from a technology point of view and from an engineering point of view for good reason because engineers adopted it first. Most of that, most material available on Model Context Protocol will tell you that it is an open protocol. It's an open standard that defines how AI models such as OpenAI or Anthropic can talk to applications, applications like a music application or um, a design application and so on. The analogy that they normally take is like this. MCP or Model Cortex Protocol is an open standard. It's like the USB port, and every application, such as Spotify or Expedia or any other custom application, will create their own MCP server. And then the MCP client, which is think of it as your laptop, is the application, the app that you created to say talk to Spotify or talk to Expedia will then use this Model Context Protocol open standard, which will then connect to the MCP server of the application that you want to access, whether it's Spotify or Expedia or any other custom application. This is an accurate technical definition, but there is a simpler way to think about it. The simpler way to think about it is MCP enables us to design products that can be spoken to rather than clicked through. So instead of going to Spotify and clicking or searching, typing, and or searching, clicking on a search bar and typing something, um, or clicking on buttons to list something or play something, you can you can either type or talk depending upon the client that you're using, and get the results that you want. Slowly but steadily, you will be able to do a lot of things just by talking to your applications, and MCP plays a very important role in that. So that's how I think about it. um, Now, why MCP matters for product managers? It is the new API layer for AI. It bridges natural language with structured operations. It allows faster prototyping. You can, even if you don't program, you can use vibe coding tools to create your own MCP server for your app and test it out. And I'll show you how to do it. It creates safe, observable, and permission aware AI interactions. That means you can see exactly which MCP server you're using, what tools are being called. Tools means the list of things an MCP server allows a client application to do. For example, if this is a cafe application, the tools are, you can see the list, you can see the menu of the cafe, you can order a coffee, you can remove an order, and then you can see the price and so on. So those are the tools. So you can put a very clear boundary around what a client application can do, can use your application for using this MCP protocol. It's also vendor neutral. Once you create, let's say you're building an application and you create an MCP server for it, then any LLM, OpenAI or Anthropic or Llama, anyone, any LLM can then connect through the MCP server. There are many other operational and execution advantages as well. Instead of different features in your application calling the LLM directly, all these things can be routed through a single server. Engineers would love it. That is a very important factor too, but I'm not focusing on that right now. So let's first see a real life example of how MCP servers work, and then we will look at how you can create your own MCP server for your application, even if you don't program, just using vibe coding tools such as Replit, and then we will see how that works. So I'm going to, for the purposes of this, demonstration, I'm going to first use um, uh, ChatGPT's developer mode as my client. That is, think of it as my chat application. I didn't develop one. I'm just using ChatGPT's developer mode. So let's first go and look at Spotify. Get a new chat. Yeah, here, and I have the Spotify server. So now I'm using the Spotify MCP server, and I am going to ask Spotify some standard questions as if I'm talking to it. What is the most popular um, Chappell Roan song? And now it will what it will do is it'll call the tool, call the appropriate tool, because I'm already using Spotify. It'll call the appropriate tool, and then it'll list the results right here, because Spotify is allowing my client, in this case ChatGPT's developer tool, to do that. Let's say if I want to play this song, I can click on it. Obviously, I can go to Spotify and play the song. I mean, it is the it is connecting to the my. So similarly, if I so this is a standard application. The MCP server is already built by Spotify. Now, what if I want to build my own MCP server and connect it to, say, in this case, ChatGPT? So the way you do it is, first you create the MCP server using a vibe coding tool like Replit. So what I did is I created an MCP, a small app, and an MCP server called AI Cafe MCP. So I'm not going to go into the share the exact prompt here. So basically you can say that, hey, I want to create a MCP server, and the MCP server is for a coffee, for a cafe. And um, this MCP server will let you see the items in the menu. It'll see it'll let people order things, and it'll let people remove things from the order, and place an order. You can, on the right side here, you can see I created a dashboard just to demonstrate visually what are the things that typically an MCP server can do, in this particular MCP server can do. For example, there is a menu. You can order things, and as I order things here, I want this to update. So that's how I built it. So you can create these things, you can test these things using a vibe coding tool like Replit. And I'm going to run now. After you create this MCP server, and after you publish it, now how do you connect it to a client for testing purposes? Connecting it to your real application, your engineers will know how to do it. But if you want to test it, and if you're a product manager, you want to test it, the way you do that is you can use ChatGPT developer mode as your client. So you come to go to settings, and then in apps and connectors, you can go and say, create a new connector, and you put the name of the connector and the MCP server URL. This you will get from your vibe coded app, or in your own app, your engineers will give you the URL. But if you're vibe coding your app for testing purposes, you can get the MCP URL from the vibe coded app. Now it is hidden, so I don't want to go back and look at it. So you copy that, you put that one in here, and then for testing purposes, I remove the OAuth. Just say no authentication. And OpenAI will warn you that it has not reviewed your MCP server. That is normal, because it's not a standard server. And you should use it only for testing purposes, not for production purposes. And you click on create, and the MCP server will be created. So this is an MCP's, I called it MCP Cafe. So you can connect or disconnect. And when you connect that here, it'll show you the details of show you the tools that that are available to a client application. In here, the actions are add order, list menu, or list orders. Those are the things that I said. So let's see how this works. Like I want to now go to new chat, and then I want to use my MCP cafe MCP server, and then say, tell me the items in the menu. Now it will recognize. Now I said in plain English. Now it is looking for available tools. It's recognizing that, okay, Prashant is asking for menu items, which means I need to use this MCP server that's available to me. And what are the and then translate my question into an appropriate tool call, and then get the items in the menu from the MCP server. So on the right side, this is a visualization of an empty MCP server on the right side. So this particular MCP server has, um, you know, cappuccino, americano, and blueberry muffin. So that is listed here. So let me see if I can. Let me say order a cappuccino. Okay, order a. Okay, order a cappuccino. Get spelling mistakes are okay, but I'll just say order a cappuccino. Did you order? Yeah, okay. So I'll just say confirm, and then if everything goes well, it'll order the cappuccino. You currently have one open order. The order went through. You currently have one open order with two items in it. So you get the idea. So it will be able to call the specific MCP server that you created, and then understand what you're saying, identify the existing available actions, and then take action. So this is a very practical example of MCP. Hope that helps.